Well, some big news has dropped for Subverse, and today we're going to go over it real quick. Mr. Kristoff, in collaboration with YouTuber Ark, presented a new Subverse build of the game, showcasing new gameplay mechanics, story elements, and news to look forward to. We'll be going over all the new stuff within the video, and then we'll wrap up with my overall thoughts. We won't go into the nitty-gritty details, as I don't want to make this video too long and work on it for like a week straight, so if you guys want me to go more in depth with more videos, just let me know. We start off with a new and improved main menu, with lively looking characters moving and really showing the polish that we see within the build. I point this out as this will be a trend you'll see within this video, as Studio Foe has been working extra hard on making the game as polished as possible. You'll find little niches in the game often only found in older style games built by gamers for gamers, and you'll see this trend within Subverse as the developers often opted to add little things when they got the chance for the sake of making the game as enjoyable and lively as possible. They wanted to show the care in the product as well as make it feel alive and fun. In fact, as you progress through the game and recruit more waifus, they'll begin leaving more trinkets and stuff around the rooms, giving more of an evolving world feeling to the game. We begin with the Mary Celeste as we navigate through the interiors as our menu or hub, so to speak, in between missions. Each room you'll be able to click and interact with items, making the world feel more lively and showing a lot of work that the devs put into the world. Over time, waifus will be added to the ship, in which you'll be able to interact with them and even get more intimate with them, so you can build up their loyalty or devotion with them leading up to the scenes that everyone knows this game for. Building up enough devotion will also allow you to access their devotion missions you'll find towards the end of the game. On the bridge, you'll be able to interact with the little console to activate your main and side quests. Here, we learn about Khaleesi the Red side quest for the search of her 3 treasure maps throughout the course of the game. At this point, Khaleesi will fight for you, but is not yet loyal to you until you complete her quest. You'll find her map pieces as you progress and complete certain missions. Killy will notify you in battle, in which you collect the pieces upon finishing the battle. Back on the bridge, you've probably noticed the giant star in the middle of the room. That's how you activate your star chart, similar to the likes of Mass Effect. Here you'll be able to access missions and navigate the galaxy. We'll come back to this after we go through the rest of the Mary Celeste. In the engineering bay, you'll access it like a cash sink shop, as Kristoff put it. Here you'll buy your, quote, overpriced aesthetic items, end quote. Items such as hair, eyes, and outfit colors for the waifus, even going as far as paint jobs for the Mary Celeste, some of which we may have gotten previews for within the art book. Stay tuned for more of that, as we'll go more in depth within the art book for a future video. No doubt the credits you earn towards the end of battles is the currency used for these type of items. In the laboratory, you'll be able to create your manticores for grid combat. You'll use what they call the Trans-Umbilical Reaction Device, aka the TURD. Yeah, someone worked way too hard to make that name work. With this device, you'll grow and upgrade your various manticores you acquire through the course of the game. And, as you see on the right, there's a lot of us to get. Aside from the 3 that we already know about and played in the beta, check out my beta hands-on preview, the new one showcased here is Nafolian. To acquire this new manticore, they were required to scan 4 planets and acquire a catalyst, which was earned from completing a battle on Helvetoria, or as Kristoff had put it, he had very good knowledge to find the catalyst within the Eretta system. This makes me wonder if the game will flat out tell us where to find these catalysts through the quest, or if we'll be able to find them on our own time, in which we may be able to get semantics without being restricted by the story's progression. It's possible I'm reading to Kristoff's word too much and he's just trying to progress the demo though. On to Nafolian himself. He's a ranged mind attack character. He also has a passive that allows him to do 15% of the maximum health of his target, meaning he's very good to use against tanks or even beefier targets in general. Along with other mantics, you'll be able to rank them up just like the waifus with their experiences in battle, giving them stronger attacks and more passives. To upgrade the mantic specifically, you'll use the bio earned at the end of grid battles. We then move on to the bar. You'll find Khaleesi hanging out and be able to talk with her. There's also a jukebox here, which you can gain access to the entire soundtrack as you progress through the game. Around this time, Kristoff confirmed a total of 9 waifus in the game, 8 of which can be used for grid combat since Demi does not enter grid combat. Thanks to the Kickstarter stretch goal, Fao-chan will be secretly found in the game eventually. Also, can we talk about the fact that Kristoff pronounced it Fao and not Foe? Like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time and they've never corrected me? Like, thank you for being pleasant about it, but Am I saying your name wrong? Is there multiple ways to say it? This is almost as awkward as some dates and saying the girl's name. After the bar, they moved on to the captain's quarters, aka the cozy room that the waifus will hang out. You'll note that the room is pretty barren, as there will be customizable furniture, special stuff on shelves, posters, and etc. for the room, thanks to another stretch goal that was hit within the Kickstarter. You'll be able to earn these through battle in the game and potentially rarer ones as you begin more difficult missions. In here, you'll also find the Schmecken roaming in here doing his stuff. Lovely. In the locker room, you'll be able to equip your waifu's stats and outfits. This is also the room you'll use to customize them with different appearances. Although you won't really change the waifu's gear for battle like RPGs do, as you progress through the game, you'll level up your waifus and be able to apply upgrades to their attacks such as stun capabilities, percent HP damage, poison, etc., or even new abilities to said waifus. Appearances are player's choice and not stat reliant, so you won't have to put on a different gear set just because it has a higher DPS number. Hallelujah. The Hangar is the room for people who love the shoot-'em-up sections of the game. It is home to your Phoenix fighter ship, which you guys have seen plenty of during the shoot-'em-up betas I've tested. You can upgrade the Phoenix armor, shields, or the basic attack by having it spread wider, do more damage, or even travel faster. Tech is used to upgrade the Phoenix and as well as acquire other mechanical contraptions aboard the Mary Celeste. On top of the Phoenix upgrades, choosing different waifus will also allow you to have a different secondary weapon for the shoot-'em-up combat, which thank God, I was not a fan of the bomb at all. More on that later. Alright, so now that we know everything about the Mary Celeste itself, we then move on to the Prodigium Galaxy itself. All the nebulas are based off of monsters. Dragon, Hydra, Kraken, Yeti, and Griffin nebulas. By the way, major shout out to Tim Barton for working on these nebulas for the game. His page will be linked in the description box below. Go check him out for more of his awesome work. He's got plenty of it. Starting off the game, you won't have direct access to all the nebulas just yet. You'll begin with the Dragon Nebula. In fact, you'll actually be in Dragon South and gain more systems over time, eventually get into the Dragon North. Kind of like the naming scheme for that. This is without a doubt all the systems and planets that had to be put in from the backers, in which I very much look forward to all the planets that Kickstarters had created when funding the game. Probably why they have so many nebulas and systems with this game. Speaking of which, we now move on to the gameplay. You'll beam into a system after clicking on it and take control of the Mary Celeste. You can scan planets or bigger clusters of asteroids, gaining all the research and secrets out of it. Clicking on said planet will allow you to read the lore that was created by the Kickstarters, edited by Studio Foe to be more lore friendly, and have access to the planet missions. The early missions in the game will have 1 star above them to show their difficulty, but will rise to 3 stars as you get further into the galaxy. These higher difficulty missions will also yield greater rewards, key items, and even customizable furniture for the Mary Celeste. The icons on the mission will also show you what faction you'll be able to fight. Here we actually saw a new faction showed for the first time, called the Ord. We'll get more information on this faction within this month's Kickstarter, as well as access to their grid and space combat for the next beta coming very soon. Stay tuned for that preview. Hopping into the first planet, we can see how gorgeous the environments are and how they stay true to exactly what planet they're supposed to be. Helvetoria is a lava planet, Raspia is a trash planet, Mine's a Mountain Dew planet, etc. Inside of grid combat, we noticed a few things. During one grid combat sequence, we noticed one enemy on the field, and once defeated, turned into an ambush. Kinda hints at some of the future creative ideas we could see for combat in the game. We also found a new mechanic. After killing a captain unit, he dropped an orb that once picked up, heals your entire team. This ability does not revive the dead, however, as of this time, they are investigating putting things like that into the game. That has a huge factor in balance, so there's no guarantee that's actually going to make it to the final product. My guess, however, is if it is put into the game, it'll probably be an end or late game sort of item. Moving on to the shoot-'em-up combat, we now see what it's like to use different waifu weapons on the Phoenix. Lily has a sniper, and Killy has an aggressive, and I mean aggressive, shotgun. We also hear more dialogue from the waifus that you choose for combat. There's also gray colored enemies that signify a version 2 of a unit that is stronger at taking and dealing more damage. Very welcome additions. Kristoff noted that the asteroids are a neutral hazard in the environment compared to the more offensive hazards that will show later in the game, such as space stations and minefields. Some final things to wrap up. Kristoff was happy to announce that the game was aiming for 30 hours in length, but easily blew past that as a massive RPG and huge script. That to me signifies that it's not just grindy or drawn out. The script was intended for 100 pages, but went over to hundreds of pages instead. This also applies for onboard dialogue, combat, and Studio 69 dialogue. And all waifus are fully voiced. Although there's no release date just yet, Kristoff confirmed the game will be releasing Q1 of next year, and we'll be getting a more official date announced in January. More details in this video right here, which will be linked below, and in the eye icon on the top right of the screen. Thoughts? The game looks extremely clean. Beyond the game's pleasure, we'll clearly be getting a treat with the eye candy department as well. The visual design, choices, and little decisions within the game to make really make it feel more alive and don't go unnoticed, and for a guy like me, who thoroughly enjoys polish inside my games, this checks off all boxes for me. I think going through the Mary Celeste in the top-down view was a smart choice, making it easy to access everything you need from just a few clicks away, whether that's talking to the waifus or upgrading your mantics. Although it could be immersive to play a game in third or first person, the scale that's needed to be designed for a ship or having to walk in different rooms to access things that could just be done in a few clicks seems very unnecessary and a big task for a smaller team like Studio Foe. I think the execution for the Mary Celeste is great and overall looks clean. The star in the middle of the bridge though, looks kinda bright, but honestly it's very convenient, no complaints. The devotion quest and ranking up their devotion in general is something we still don't know about and we'll have to wait for more details. As for upgrades in general, I'm happy to hear about them, but again, I do wish we could have seen some sort of upgrades or at least an upgrade screen. But hey, man can dream. We'll have to wait. It's been confirmed that Demi, Lily, and Killy will be the waifus we'll gain access for the first chapter's release of the game. Although this is disappointing to some, I know I'm missing my blueberry, I think it's enough that we're getting access to the game as early as Q1 of next year. I honestly can't complain too much about that. I did go more in depth with this decision in my other video discussing the release date, but put simply, the team was aware the audience desperately wanted this game, so they were wanting to give us something while they developed the rest of the game. It's kind of a win-win as we get something and they get the time to develop the rest. On top of this, it's one of the ideas back on the Kickstarter page if they want to do a chapter release game or just release it in whole. It's not like this decision just came out of the blue or that they were caving their audience. It was something that they had already considered in the past. I have faith in Foe's abilities for this decision. I think the Galaxy map was fantastic in its showcase, and it excites me to see just how much we'll get for just the Dragon Nebula, which makes me wonder how much we'll get with the rest of the nebulas combined. Like, if the Dragon Nebula was just this many systems over here, imagine what the entire galaxy is going to have when it comes to systems. At which point, I can understand why they have said numerous times in the past they won't be doing Kickstarter planets like this again due to just how many they had to create. That being said, from what little we've seen thus far, I'd like to say we'll be in for a treat when the game gets out and we all see other people's planets that people have created from the Kickstarter. Flying the Mary Celeste in a Mass Effect-esque flying minigame makes me excited that we may finally see this side executed better than any of the Mass Effect games ever did, as that was a major flaw for each of the 3 games actually. The improvements here actually make you scan planets and choose which ones you want to take place battling on, rather than just scanning for minerals for hours or being chased by Reapers every time you scan a planet too much. This will allow players to familiarize themselves with the universe at their own pace, with the lore entries and exploring the different systems. As for the missions themselves, it does worry me that we only have 3 different difficulties to use. Kristoff has told me before that it's not their priority to add difficulty options to the game and to keep it accessible to others. However, they've confirmed you don't have to play every mission in the game, so we could see some optional harder missions to tackle, or hopefully, and I mean hopefully, we can see some missions with modifiers or challenges attached to them, such as a toxic planet, more hazards, etc, etc. Grid combat didn't have very many changes to it either than the new orb we saw drop from the captain. This is a good idea, and after they brought up the idea of reviving being introduced, it does make me wonder if we'll be able to get some late game items, and if that were the case, what particular late game items could we be seeing? The game was confirmed to be well over 30 hours, thanks to how massive of an RPG it has become. I wouldn't think we'd be regurgitating the same enemies and battles for 30 plus hours, and we'll likely come across more stuff only as we progress. No doubt examples like the Imperium military fleet might be people we can only fight later in the game once we're strong enough to actually take on, I don't know, a military force? Other things to note, Nafolian looked pretty solid, dare I say OP. But it shows me just how many different ideas we could be seeing for the Mantics as more are found in the game. Shoot 'em Up had a plethora of new changes that were showcased that actually dropped my jaw a few moments to show that yes, they have indeed listened to us and did in fact have plans in store to spice up the space combat. Seeing the different waifu weapons changes almost everything about space combat, and Achilles goes to show just how they may dictate your decisions before entering battles. Her shotgun is aggressive and runs a high-risk, high-reward strategy that favors fighting pirates that are less organized, easy to group up for a shot, and have bigger ships that are left vulnerable to her shotgun once up close. This shows me that the choices of waifu weapons into the shoot-'em-up combat will matter when it comes to each mission you encounter. I am going to point out that the lighting is absolutely beautiful in this game, and you can see it fleshed out on 3D objects such as asteroids really well. A major shout out to Zung, I hope I'm saying that name right, and Hungry JJ for their work on the beautiful visuals and aesthetics in the shoot 'em up sections. Kristoff and Ark end the video going in depth about the studio's passion and love going into the project and made it very clear there was no crunch on the project. Trust me when I'm saying I'm excited for this game to release, but I can wait on the developers' time to ensure everyone's safety. However, I also understand the excitement when it comes to developing, working around the clock, watching the sun come up and go down while working, not because you're told to, but because you want to. I've done it with videos I've created many times, and I can just as easily understand it when it comes to game design. I highly recommend going to the end of the video and checking that out if you want to hear more closing thoughts from Kristoff himself. Other than that, those are my thoughts and breakdown on the new Subverse reveal. If you want me to go more in depth with any of these other topics, just let me know down below and be sure to subscribe too for more content, and you can also be sure to check that out when it comes out. Helps me out in the long run when you guys do so. You can also now donate on Subscribestar too, link down below, as well to help me out and get exclusive perks from the channel. Lastly, leave a hashtag finish if you made it to the end of the video, and I want to thank you all for watching a long time, but not a hard time. And I'll see you guys next time.